What is up, Packers fans? And welcome back to another episode of Packer Report TV. I'm Ross Uglem, the host of this show and the publisher of Packer Report. And joining me from Acme Packing Company is my good friend Dusty Evely. How are you, man?
I'm great. I am so great, man. We got Christmas around the corner. We just saw the Packers drub a Seahawks team. I'm just living, dude. Just absolutely living.
It was fun. I think it's odd, certainly, being 10-4 and having no shot at winning the division. That is crazy. I mean, and I'm sure like teams go 14-3 and 15-2. That's not lost on me, but just like a 13-4 record, and I think the Packers probably finished 12-5, but a 13-4 record, and
we're locked in the six, man.
You have no shot. You have no shot. What is going on this year? For sure. But I think there's some stuff on the horizon. Obviously, like the Vikings are going to lose Flores. They're going to lose Darnold. I think the Lions are probably going to lose both coordinators. There's probably some reality setting in for those two teams. Although Minnesota has a lot of cap space, but
yeah,
if the next quarterback stinks, none of it matters. Either way, though, a division that is very, very serious, and that it's going to be fought for I would say the majority of this part of the Jordan Love era, no doubt.
But then also the Bears.
But then also the Bears, yes. And it's funny too because this season has become the living embodiment of that dragon meme where it's like the fierce heads and then the one, but like early Chicago was 4-2, right? And everybody was like, "Oh my God, look at the North!" And now we're almost to Christmas. It's like, no, no.
Look at three teams in the North.
Yeah.
Look at these three teams in the North, please.
Yeah. I said, and to the most part, it's playing out that way. And this isn't about Ross was right, but I said that home game against Detroit was the last game of the regular season, right? I mean, you win that game. Okay, well, then we can have a real conversation about the division because you have a head-to-head with Minnesota left. You have a head-to-head with Detroit left. We can have a real conversation about the division. You have that, and now Detroit would be actually Minnesota would be in first place.
Yeah.
Minnesota would be in first place because Detroit just loses that game. Now instead of being 10-4, you're 11-3. You're a game behind Minnesota with them on the schedule. It's a completely different conversation. Whatever. With that said, I mean, there were, I think, some criticisms of the Packers, who, by the way, now have more wins over above 500 teams than the Vikings. But big media won't tell you that.
I did not know that.
Big media won't tell you that the Vikings only have 2 wins over winning teams. But it's I get losing begets more losing. I understand all of that, right? And I also do get, okay, well, was the Rams win really that impressive? No Puka, no Cup, no this or that. I get that. Okay. Are the Texans any good? Yeah, they are.
Texans defense is legit. That offense looks like a mess, but that defense is legit.
Yep. And you've lost to the Vikings, you've lost to the Eagles, you've lost to the Lions. Can you go on the road and beat what at that point was a playoff team and now may not be, but a true road game? Can you go to Seattle and get a win? And the answer was emphatically yes. And I mean, I think it just sort of, to me, the whole thing is a coin flip, and that sounds like terrible analysis, but like, I think Green Bay has just as good a chance as any to win any of their 3 theoretical playoff games, and just as good a chance of any as losing them.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. Like the odds of you flipping heads 3 times is low, right? I mean, I think it's not great odds that you go to Tampa, to Philly, to Detroit, to the Super Bowl. You can.
Well, you're trying to push this forward too, and you're like, well, you got to be consistent. And that's been the Packers like, well, they just haven't been consistent. So now you got to hope you do that for like 3 or 4 straight games.
And there were even stretches of this game. I mean, I think the Seahawks had won 4 in a row. They were allowing 15.6 points per game or something coming into this one. And you score 30, and fans still spent most of the second half going, what is wrong with this football team?
They stalled a bit. For sure.
and I'm gonna get right into that. I mean, the one thing I want to ask you, Dusty, and I don't even know if this is a film thing, though. To a point, it could be. I posed the question: what's the deal with the Packers, and the ability of Josh Jacobs in the second half? Is it too many carries in the first half? Is it LaFleur's good run concepts are in his first 15 plays script? My honest opinion, I think it's probably 20%. Maybe give him a little less work in the first half, and I think it's 80% game script. I think you get teams that they go, okay, well these guys are up 17, they're up 10, they have Josh Jacobs, they're going to run the football, and for the most part, LaFleur will acquiesce. He will run the football, and I think it just gets. I mean, you look at some of those, and this is Seattle's defensive structure. McDonald is largely a too high coach. You look at some of those boxes that Jacobs was running against in the first half, and it was nothing. And then you like the 3rd and 3 that Green Bay converts on the first touchdown drive. Those corners are 14 yards off those safeties are 14 yards off the line of scrimmage. And the corner that would sort of be the 7th man in the box immediately drops into a Tampa 2 cloud. Like it's running right up the middle against a 6-man box, and Leonard Williams beats his block, and they still give up 7 yards because it's just math. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is game script. I think there is there's been a weird trend I've noticed this year as it's gone on. This Packers team really lean heavy into RPO stuff under LaFleur. A bunch of mainly the horizontal stuff. You're going to talk about one here in a second, and that's something they've worked in. But a lot of the horizontal, the bubbles, the wide receiver screens, all that stuff. Most of their run stuff this year, not most of, but like an overwhelming majority of their run stuff this year has been strictly run stuff. They've kind of not gotten away from RPO tags. They've severely gotten down what they've run out of their RPO game. And I think if you look at the numbers, they don't look that much different. But like in this game, I think they called on their run stuff. They had 4 RPOs through the first 3 quarters, and those numbers get boosted a bit because on like their last 4 runs of the game, when the game was over, every single one of them had a pass tag on the back of it. So those will be RPOs, but it's not really part of the game. And so where in the past you used to have these pass options, you're looking at, what's the run look like, what's the box look like, what's the passing stuff look like. They're not doing that as much anymore, and I don't know if that's something they're saving, but it seems like they've gone away from that and just are like, all right, man, listen, if we're going to run the ball, we want explosives. We want to commit our wide receivers to blocking downfield, so we've got guys at the second level, and they've kind of gotten away from some of the RPO stuff. So I think some of that, in terms of where in the past you used to have options, you've got the run or the pass on this if they're loading the box against you. And you can still can that to some extent. Not every call is a can call, but you can get away from that. But I think in the past, if you had an 8-man box, all right, I've got a 3-on-2 out here on the perimeter. I can throw this bubble. They're not really doing that as much anymore, not as much as they used to. So I think that is part of it. I do think, in this game, it is we're up by a bunch. Let's pound our head against the wall. But we saw that, even against the Jags, when the Jags started coming back, like that issues with that. So I do think they want to stick to the run, but without the RPOs, you lose some of the optionality there. And I've not done a deep dive into if that's the reason why, but that's my theory at the moment, is that they just don't have those options that they had been building in.
And I get why that's frustrating. You see like Green Bay go to Detroit and probably should have won that football game, right? Mm-hmm. But people view that as the gap between the two teams. Yeah. It's in that situation, Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson would have kept calling trick plays, and by the end, it would have been 41-6 Lions over Seahawks. You know what I mean? And Matt LaFleur is more like, I'm gonna run the ball and win the game. And
we even saw that on was it the first half? And I think that one of the plays the play I'm going to be looking at is on that drive where they're up 14-0. They get 4th and 2 down inside the 10. They kick the field goal to go up 3 scores. That is one the Lions probably go for that, right? They go for the touchdown.
They do, yes.
And part of me is like, go for that. But also the smart decision is to go up 3 scores. Go up 3 scores in the first half. So I don't mind that stuff, but there is a difference in the thought process there in terms of how the coach operates.
Absolutely. Let's flip the format a little bit here, Dusty. I'm going to let you go first. Why don't you bring us to your clip, if that is all right with you?
It's me. Honestly, I thought this was going to be yours, and I saw you show up in a Christian Watson shirt, and I was like, this is Ross's. I'm going to have to...
Should we take a break? Should we take a brief ad break? Because I forgot.
Brief ad break. Oh,
guys,
look at this,
it's
Ross.
Christmas season right here. Homage, link below. They've got great Packers stuff. This is a t-shirt. Dusty's got my favorite, the lightweight hoodie on. It's getting cold. The hoodies are great. Do you have one of those?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, my favorite hoodie. It's soft and thick. Like if it's like 25 degrees outside, I just wear that thing. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
they're very warm. But yeah, link either in the podcast description or the YouTube. They're great. They've been awesome partners, and they've got some really cool like uh, starter jacket stuff that
Mhm.
they've done too. And I'm trying to think, it's not New Era, New Athletic. They've got those '90s like wavy hats
Mhm.
that they're
Yep.
also doing. They're very. I'll just say this: the Packers are a very historic team. Homage already leans into that. Like if you want cool looking sweet stuff, they have a Bart Starr t-shirt right now. Like if you want cool looking, old school looking stuff that sort of goes with the vibe of the Green Bay Packers, check out our link to Homage. All right, go ahead. Glad we
All
could
right.
get that in.
Yes, they have an Ice Bowl t-shirt as well. I've been eyeing for a bit. Just that
Okay.
looks awesome. All right, so I'm going second quarter, Packers up 14 nothing. If you're looking at the timestamp, second quarter, 11:04 remaining in the second. It's 1st and 10. Packers are on their own 40 from the looks of things, on their own 40, it looks like. This is the Watson toe tap. So Packers come out in looks like 21 personnel. They've got the two running backs, split shotgun look with Jacobs and Brooks back there, as we've come to expect a bunch. They have got it's a 2-by-1 look initially with Kraft split out wide on the right. So you've got this, and then they end up motioning. So they end up motioning to like a 3-by-1. And what they run, I really like what they run here, because on the right side, you've got the concept, and they'll do this a lot where it kind of becomes like this quads look, because now you've motioned Chris Brooks over to the right, where it was kind of 2-by-1. You're now sending Brooks over. You've got the third man over there. Well, that's the side Jacobs is aligned to. So you got four dudes to the right. Christian Watson, the only guy on the left. Seahawks are in a 2-high look. What they end up doing from the right side, they run the kind of inbreaker, kind of what I call cross country dagger, what I've seen called cross country dagger, where you've got this big crossing route from, I believe that's Wicks, and then an in cutter behind it from Kraft. You're looking to work the middle of the field. Behind that, Chris Brooks, who went in motion, releases as a blocker for like that escort screen stuff they do on the right side. So if you have a check down, you've got a blocker in front of your check down. So him and Jacobs are on the right. On the left, it's just Christian Watson running fast. They tell him run fast that way. And again, Seahawks start in a 2-high look. Love checks that immediately. He checks that safety of that side. Do I have a one-on-one here? Is this an opportunity I like? He checks the safety. Safety, I think it's Julian Love. I can't remember. He immediately turns his back. So they're still in a 2-high, but he's pinching in. He's looking middle. Back is turned to Christian Watson, back completely to the sideline. It's a quick look from Love. He's like, looks over, dude's got his hip flips. All right, I've got a one-on-one with the dude in press against Christian Watson. Watson, I think it's Reek Woolen over there with Watson. Watson gets off this very well, no hands even on him, clean release, gets upfield, stacks him. Love looks to the right, is kind of looking to the middle where the concept is kind of set up, but he knows he's got Watson, knows he's going the whole time, comes back at the last minute, throws a perfect ball over the top of Woolen. Safety is in no position to make a stop. Watson with an absolutely beautiful Jordy Nelson-esque toe tap catch, goes for 36 yards. This is then a couple plays later, 4 plays later is the field goal I talked about. So they kick the field goal. They go up 17-3 at this point. With about 9.5 minutes left in the second quarter. So nice read. We've seen this from Love. We see this from his offense a lot. Overload one side. If you've got the one-on-one, it's a little tricky this time because the Seahawks do look like they're in 2-high, but reading that safety, seeing that back turn, it's like, all right, I got my one-on-one, I'm taking this. So really, really nice job to manipulate, read the safety, and then come back and just drop an absolute dime into Watson there.
Yeah, one thing I really like too about what Watson did on that play, and I broke this down for Packer Report. You see guys and you think, well, they just run fast. It's just run fast and go. And I think what was really impressive is Watson. You're looking on that play, especially against middle field open. You're looking for an outside release. You're not trying to bend that in. I
Right.
mean, you've seen him inside release go or inside release fade guys with success this year, but you don't keep bending it to the sideline because you don't give your quarterback anywhere to throw. So what I thought was so impressive about that play was stacking one of the longest and fastest corners in the world. Reek Woolen is right up there with Watson as far as like 9.9 relative athletic score guys. He is tall, he is fast, he is like one of the last corners in this league I would throw a go ball on. And by Watson stacking him and getting straight vertical, almost down the numbers, it gives that gap between the numbers and the sideline for Love to fit that pass in. If Watson keeps fading to the outside, there's no room for error. There's nowhere to throw that football. Great throw by Love. Awesome play by Watson. I'll go now, if you don't mind. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. We're going to go with 2 plays. Timestamp here is Q4 8:48. It's a 1st and 10 right after the Dontavion Wicks RPO. And the reason that I like these 2 plays is because of just how heavy and how downhill the Seahawks have been going with against the Josh Jacobs run game, and how they've been, just I mean, it's been nothing. You can see even on this play, the nose tackle blows up Elton Jenkins and chops down Josh Jacobs for what would be a 2-yard loss. But they go with the spinner series, and it's a flip to Jaden Reed, and you can see Dontavion Wicks is just waiting to seal Devin Witherspoon, who even jumps further inside. You could not ask for an easier block for Wicks. And then you get Chris Brooks wheeling out with Josh Myers, and it's 2 blockers on 1 small corner. Myers sort of accidentally gets a piece of the safety as well. This thing was honestly blocked up probably to get more. And not saying that Jaden Reed did a bad job, but you get up to the 42-yard line. On the next play here, and this basically, in my opinion, ends the game. I know a lot of people will tell you that the Edgerrin Cooper deal ended the game, but you get a double A gap blitz against a pop pass jet sweep. And that is death. That is, you're bringing interior pressure. We're going to the exterior. And if Jaden Reed can outrun, I believe that's Uchenna Nwosu, who's like a linebacker edge.
That man looks like he's running a 6'5" here.
Yeah. Uchenna Nwosu, I think, is like who's the Hassan Reddick. He's that type of player. He's a Hassan Reddick type of player. A shorter edge rush, bigger linebacker type human. And he's not, even with a call it 1.5 yard head start, he's not beating Jaden Reed to the corner. Awesome block once again on the outside there by Wicks, and Kraft out there hunting for the nickel, and Reed able to get a bunch of yardage. Now, Green Bay, I will say, gives punts here, but they're at their own 16, and that entire drive took them from 9:32 to 5:55, and they don't even punt, they get stuffed on 4th down. But 2 plays later, after I believe a sack, you have the Edgerrin Cooper pick. So you flip the field, you take 5 full minutes off the clock, 4 full minutes off the clock, and you sort of say, okay, Sam Howell, you just went down the field, you just got an explosive run, do it again. And I will say, you talk about film study, you talk about cool stuff. My brother, they could not have done anything more basic on the interception. That was the most cover 2 that has ever cover 2'd. I have no idea what in Jesus' name he was thinking, or like
on the Cooper one,
on the Edgerrin Cooper pick.
Yeah, I think he thought that was just like they're going spot drop, which means he is just going to he's going to go to a spot, not thinking about the fact that Edge Cooper just had eyes on him the entire time.
Brother, that was as Tampa 2 as Tampa 2 gets, and they rush 4 and they drop 7, and I think he thinks like
he's throwing with anticipation, not thinking that Edge Cooper is going to Edge Cooper is going to be like cemented in space, but he's not, because he has eyes on the quarterback.
That was crazy. God love Sam Howell, but that was crazy.
I was going to break that one down, and I was like, "There's nothing to say.
There's nothing to break down."
It's tremendous. No, that last play you talked about, the jet sweep. Again, man, flowers for Wicks, who has had as a receiver a bit of a rough year, but when you say he holds that edge and allows Reed to get her on the edge, he holds that edge, man. Like he is pinning down. I love they leave Nwosu unblocked. Kraft didn't even have to do much. His first punch at the corner, shoves the guy back 5 yards. He's like, all right, we got the first down. It doesn't do much, but really nice design. And yeah, I mean, this doesn't work if Wicks is not just absolutely owning that boundary corner.
Wicks and Watson get after it out there, man. And I'm not saying Dobbs and Reed don't, but they don't have like the size and maybe the strength that those other two do.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily tight ends, but the corners don't want any of that. And it's play after play. Anything else you noticed defensively besides obviously just the 19 pressures or whatever they had?
No, this was one of those. Was like pass rush is back. Like, well, Seattle side's kind of bad, so I don't know. I've not dug into that too much yet, but no, I mean it's really nice to have Cooper back. He flashed every time he's on the screen, as he always does.
And honestly, I thought the two tackles, they've got some like the right tackle's a Pac-12 kid. I think he's at Washington State, like Mike Leach. Kid.
Abraham Lucas,
and then Charles Cross. Like I thought they were decent pass blockers. Their pass block win rate as an offensive line was 22nd going into the game, which like we're not singing songs or writing legends about the 22nd, but they were like 29th in run block win rate. And that's what I saw on film was like, oh my God, Kenneth Walker might be the greatest running back of all time. And he's going to end like 11th in the rushing.
I can't remember what the stat was. Both of those running backs were averaging negative yards before contact coming into this game.
Crazy. And so I knew they couldn't run block, but them just being lost trying to protect the passer was relatively new. Again, not great, not ever claiming that they were great, but this was like, holy smokes. And man, you just have to give credit to Goody again. That wasn't selling when he traded Preston Smith. It wasn't even a net neutral. Like, I think it was the nicest possible way of saying these guys behind you right now have more juice and we need to get you out of here. And there's no real other way to do it other than convincing the Steelers to send you a 7th round pick. So that was a big deal because they have been much better. And it's not all Preston Smith's fault. Please don't understand I'm saying that. But new blood in the pass rush. And I think really seeing LVN kind of move in a little bit and then
starting to figure it out, I think.
Right. And then big time Rashawn Gary, like, hey, whatever, I'm just going to rush from a 2-point stance or whatever it needed to be. I mean, whatever was originally being asked of him. And I don't know if it was a conversation with Rebrovich. I don't know if it was a conversation with Hafley and just saying like, I'll stand where you want me to stand, but
yeah,
it's going to have to be kind of the way I want to do it. And speaking of win rates, and it depends on how much stock you put in this, but I just happened to be on that page. Rashawn Gary is 2nd in the NFL in run stop percentage on the edge of all edge defenders.
Who is this man?
He's the number 2 guy in run stop percentage. So that's insane. That's insane. Anything else, buddy?
Nah, man, I think that's it for me. There's a lot of some fairly standard stuff in this game, but also quite a bit of fun stuff in this game. This was a good one. I'm very excited to get into what hopefully will be just an absolute rout of the Saints. We'll see about that. But this was a very fun game after that Lions game. Very much enjoyed watching this one.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.